Well, here we are. We finally made it out of the year that everyone was so desperate to finally just get past, and we're at the start of a new year that has been, well, let's be charitable and say chaotic. Although, if there was any good news to come out of that appalling pro Trump riot that's been going on at the White House the past couple of days, it's that any Trump supporters in any sort of significant amount of power have all jumped ship at this time, and the guy is forced to admit defeat at this point. He can't weasel his way out, especially now that his social media accounts have been suspended at long last, and he won't be spreading any more lies or misinformation or anything that's going to just, you know, spur people to want to take these sort of actions again. Well, there's always going to be those people who want to take those sort of actions, but hopefully it's not going to be a large enough group that they're going to be such a threat at this point. Yeah, I know our country is just feels like it's broken and in shambles at this point. Let's hope that the only place it has to go from here is up, and I'm really hoping that it does go up. As for me, here I am starting the new year in bed. This year didn't have the greatest start for me either. When it when it did start, I had a seasonal cold, or what felt like it, which I had for about a week. But just a few days into the year, when I tried to get to go to my day job, I couldn't stop coughing for 20 minutes straight, and I had to come back home and go to bed because it turned out I was raging up a fever. So this whole week, I've had to stay home and work on getting better. I've been taking Robitussin, drinking a ton of water, and eating soup, and rinsing my sinuses, getting lots of rest, and thus far, it's been working pretty well. I've had to save my breath though because I've still got that tickling sensation in my throat that does feel like it can trigger a cough at any moment, even if it doesn't sound like it right now. I went to get my nose swabbed yesterday for a COVID test, and I should get the results back in the course of 2 to 4 days. So I'll be waiting in the meantime, and I'm just grateful that I feel like I'm getting better. I'm really hoping that the worst that I have is a seasonal flu, especially especially since vaccines are not made widely available yet. I'm real I'm really hope I know that we've still got several months until that officially does happen, but I I do hope it happens sooner rather than later. And even so, even with that vaccine being available, the battle's not over yet. But if we continue to comply with the measures that we need to get through the pandemic with as few casualties as possible, then hopefully this will be the worst we ever have to see for the rest of our lives. At least I'm referring to the generation of people who are around my age, give or take a few years. These types of pandemics, after all, are only a once in a century type of deal, so let's keep it going. We know there will be plenty more problems in the world that need fixing, and that's the way it's always been and the way it always will be. But now that there's hope that we'll be able to move forward soon, we know that we've got ourselves a chance. Yeah, believe me, I try to be the voice of optimism, but sometimes there's no harder person to be the voice of optimism than, well, sometimes the person whose optimism is hard to retain the most is the one who is the most optimistic. Sometimes the reassurer needs the most reassuring. I've been working on a script for some time for the best media I've consumed in 2020, but I feel it best to save the recording part for when my breathing is completely back to normal, and because this is a subject that I am so passionate about, and I need all the energy I can muster up to talk about it. So in the meantime, here's to a hopefully better new start of the new year, after the first few weeks of this month. I'm the first person I think we all need to really think about taking care of right at the time being is ourselves, and then hopefully we can work on just taking care of everything else in the world uh, that needs to be repaired. I'm just rambling on at this point, but if you did tune into this, I thank you. 2020 wrapped up pretty nicely for me, and that's one thing I can be grateful for. I hope that it wrapped up okay for you, and I will talk. I will talk to you all very soon. As soon as I'm better.